Does art really imitate life? I observed he came into the unit and went straight to bed. August 16th, 2018. Inmate Watts received 2 visits. He is staffed to remain, and they redacted it. He's been polite and respectful with the interactions I have had with him. He's been laying down staring at the top of his bunk, or sitting on the edge of it, staring at the floor. August 17th, inmate Watts slept all through the shift. He did not respond to the face count, but did not get up at all. Inmate Watts has been respectful and polite during my interactions with him. I've seen him a few times during my walk staring off at the floor or the wall in front of him blankly. I've asked him a few times if he's doing all right and needed to talk. He said no whilst giving me a thumbs up. Throughout the day while doing my walks, I noticed Watts was staring blankly at the wall in front of him. I opened his cell door, told him I had been over the last few hours and I was concerned. He said he's fine, he's just thinking about things, he's trying to exercise to keep busy. Told him that's a good idea and reassured him that if he needs to talk to someone, he needs to let the deputy know, so we can make sure he is taken care of. Watts said he appreciated it. I asked him if he was feeling suicidal, and he told me he was not. I then asked him if he would let us know if he was. To which he told us, I definitely will let someone know. August 18th, Watts keeps to himself. He's very calm and polite all day long. He will respond when staff asks him questions in a respectful manner. Inmate Watts Christopher laid on his bunk and slept during the shift. He wakes up and responds to deputies and medical staff when they address him. He has not been attempting to harm himself during the shift. August 19th, inmate Watts has either sat quietly or slept in his bunk all day. The only time he talked was to say thank you for lunch and to ask for toilet paper. Inmate Watts refused his hour out tonight when offered by myself. He rested during most of the shift, only speaking when he needed toilet paper. He was respectful and did not engage in any self-harming behavior. During routine walkthroughs early in the shift, I observed Watts. The last 2 days, he's been laying down staring in front of him or sleeping. I approached him and shared my observation, and he informed me he was just given a book today. Having a book to read significantly improved inmate Watts' demeanor. August 22nd, inmate Watts had a professional visitor tonight. I asked him when he was finished how his court from earlier today had gone. He said it had not gone well, but appeared to be content with it. He asked me how my day was, and I responded by telling him I'm here and alive, so I can't complain. He proceeded to ask how many days a week I work here at the jail. I told him work week is typically 5 days, and he said okay and entered his cell. I told him to have a good night, and he began to read the book in his cell and later went to sleep. 8/21/2018, inmate returned from court. He was given the opportunity to prepare with a shower early in the morning. He read his book after his shower, and he returned to his cell. He doesn't hang around or make conversation with others. He was quiet and polite when he returned from court. He reads his book standing at times. Watts Christopher was seen this morning by Brandon. He was asked to call his public defender twice this morning, which he did. The first call lasted over 10 minutes. There was an inmate on the floor next to the telephone. Given his hour out, took a shower. After showering, he returned to his cell. finished one book, and asked if he could get another one, was accommodated. After dinner, dozed off, but was seen reading shortly after 17:15. He's very quiet and polite. He asked to place a call to his attorney shortly after 17:25 hours and was given the opportunity to make the call. It lasted less than 2 minutes, and he returned to his cell without issue. August 23rd, inmate Watts Christopher has been quiet throughout the shift. He asked for toilet paper once at approximately 1900. Continues to read in his bunk and refrains from any self-harming behavior. August 23rd, spent most of the night reading in his bunk. He appeared to sleep through the night. August 23rd, requested that he have his hour out in this unit. He stated that he would only need to take a shower and return to his cell. I informed him that his hour out would be upstairs. Inmate Watts attempted to manipulate the situation by stating he would just be real quick and wouldn't talk with anyone. I repeated that his hour out would be upstairs. August 23rd, he accepted that and went back to his book. August 25th, inmate refused his hour out today and decided to sleep. I've had no issues with this inmate, and he has complied with every directive given. August 26th, today at approximately 10:30, inmate had a professional visitor. All the windows were closed, plastic bags were used to block visibility. Inmate Watts had a visit with his public defender today. He was quiet when I took over this afternoon. Spent most of the day reading, and he did eat dinner. The housing unit as a whole was quite rambunctious today around dinner. But Watts did not engage with any of this and just kept to himself. He had a VPRO that started late this evening. I summoned the SOG to escort him to the VPRO room. We shut all the sliders on cell doors during the visit. The housing unit was very upset about having their slider shut indefinitely because of his VPR room. The unit made their collective feelings clear. Inmate Watts has been observed quietly laying in bed reading his Bible. Very polite and respectful in his interactions with the deputy, seems to be in generally good spirits. After lights went out, he went to sleep and caused no issues. Inmate Watts was on a VPRO when I got into the unit. All sliders were closed for the duration in accordance with security memo. The unit was much less vocal today when he was being moved. Watts spent the remainder of his evening reading in his room quietly after he ate dinner. He was observed reading in his cell again until lights went out. August 30th, inmate Watts observed reading in his cell until lights went out. He has had very little interaction with the deputy, did not request anything, was approved by Sergeant Mueller to have a book from inmate services. This was given to him by Deputy Petzold Thursday, August 30th. Inmate Watts is not undisciplined and therefore allowed a book. He was pretty quiet throughout the day. He ate dinner and did not speak to anyone else in the unit. It was found today by Deputy Bertato that he had a book in his cell in addition to his Bible. Bertato asked him about this. Watts explained his counselor had given it to him. Bertato explained he's not allowed an extra book. Watts handed the book over to Deputy Bertato without issue. Inmate Watts has been observed sitting in his cell reading or doing seemingly nothing. He would be looking toward the door when I approached him. He would smile and nod his head at me. He asked for toilet to be flushed, which I did, and then went to sleep after lights out. Inmate Watts spent his day reading. He did eat dinner. September 1st, inmate Watts has been observed reading in bed, no issues to report. Today I interacted with inmate Watts briefly. I observed inmate Watts working out. When I asked how he was feeling, he said okay. Specifically, I observed inmate Watts working out. When I asked how he was feeling, he said okay. Also, throughout the day, I observed him reading his book. He has remained polite and respectful today. He read and exercised. Inmate Watts spent the majority of his evening reading a book. He's been respectful to the deputies and hasn't caused any negative issues. As indicated earlier, he elected not to take his hour out this evening. September 2nd, inmate Watts read a book for the majority of the evening, been respectful and communicates when communicated to. He has not caused any negative issues this evening. September 3rd, inmate Watts completed his visit with his attorney. They moved him to the VPR room with no issues. He was respectful this evening and did not cause any issues in the pod. September 4th, inmate Watts asked what I did before this and if I like working here. He sat on his cot most of the evening and read his book. He's respectful and hasn't caused any negative issues. Today, inmate Watts was given a different book by Inmate Services Brandon. I switched out the old book with the new book. Body of Evidence. The book was inspected prior to giving it to him. Inmate Watts was observed reading his Bible and sleeping. He caused no issues. He continues to have little to no interaction with deputies, but seems calm and respectful when spoken to. September 8th, inmate Watts was quiet and compliant this evening, reading in his room, but seems calm and respectful when spoken to. He slept and caused no issues. Inmate Watts has been mostly reading his Bible and laying on his mat all day. No issues from this inmate. September 9th, inmate Watts was observed reading. No issues to report. September 12th, he had a professional visit. All the window chutes of Unit S were closed. September 12th, during his professional visit. September 13th, Deputy Archer cleaned inmate Watts' cell while he was on his hour out. September 13th, inmate was quiet and respectful, did not even react when several of the inmates in the unit were yelling to him. September 15th, inmate has remained very quiet and polite, rarely asks for anything and is respectful when he does. He's been quiet. He mainly reads or sleeps during the shift. He follows directives and is polite and respectful. I've had no issues. On September 18th, inmate Roberts was talking to inmate Watts through the chute. I was not able to hear what they were talking about. Inmate returned to his window shortly after this. Inmate started his hour out at 0800, had access to phones, shower, and everything. Been very quiet, polite, going to and from his visit, cooperative during cuffing and search, ate his dinner and spent the night on his bunk reading his Bible. So this is where things get a little bit weird for me, because I observe things that stand out. So this video is just about coincidental things in the book, Body of Evidence, correlating with what happened with Chris Watts. Bizarre, I know, but just hear me out. It was the sort of house a wealthy young couple might build. These are quotes from the book. And Shanann and Chris Watts' house. It was built of fieldstone and gray-stained wood. Kessner said, Chris tells me that they had the house built. The only part of the design that he had any say in was the stonework and the paint color on the exterior of the house. It was the sort of house a wealthy young couple might build. Kessinger stated, I was very taken aback when I saw it. I was just like, whoa, how do you guys? That's how it's going to be, because I want everybody to think we're fancy. Big rooms, high ceilings, a lot of expensive and wasted space. Chris tells me he's always wanted a smaller ranch-style home. Wyndham Drive dead-ended at her lot. On Monday, August 13th, at approximately 11 p.m., I was requested to assist in the search for a mother and her 2 juvenile daughters in the Windham Hill subdivision. Though the Richmond Police Department's Identification Unit, or ID, had thoroughly processed the scene, nothing had been moved. I collected a hardback book within its original Amazon shipping box that was titled, Hold Me Tight. Appearing to be brand new, I was informed that it had been located in the recycle bin. The joint's got a triple burglar alarm, deactivated at the moment. The Vivint security system also reported a living room motion sensor activation when she entered the house. But no other activations were recorded until later that morning. Beryl took a taxi home from the airport the night she got in. Shanann's friend Nicole Atkinson drove her home from the airport. I observed via a doorbell camera recording Shanann walk from the street to her front door at 01:48 hours on 8/13/18. I knew all about fictitious illnesses and injuries, about Munchausen's and maladjustments and manias. Here's Meredith's 2 cents. She claims Shanann Watts did not have lupus. She says this was a woman desperate for attention. I believe she did have Munchausen by proxy. Really. It's pretty uneducated there, Meredith. And here's Miss Mensa. Did Chris Watts' wife have Munchausen by proxy? She's so devious. She just is, in my opinion. That will cause people to wish and even induce terrible sickness and violence upon themselves. Miss Mensa, both children are sick again. By the way, Miss Mensa is back on YouTube. Her channel is Lady Justice Survivor Advocate True Crime Channel. Ooh. What a farce. What a joke. Maybe he feared she was going to move altogether and he murdered her the moment she got back. August 13th, 2018, 01:48 hours. Watts' phone logged a Vivint alert of Shanann's entry into their home. Between 01:48 and 04:23 hours, there was no movement detected on the main floor of the home. Shanann's phone activity is otherwise dormant until 07:40 when he sends her a staged message. 02:18 hours, the home's router logged an unspecified activity in Watts' phone. Wonder what that was. Not too hard to figure out. She finally pissed him off big time. August 15, 2018, Ronnie clarified with Chris if he choked Shanann. Chris said, that's just, it's rage. The book says, I'm seeing a lot of rage. August 15, 2018, I asked Chris if Shanann fought back. He said not much, because he had a lot of rage. Book says his rage seems personally directed at her. Chris said he didn't believe Shanann put up a fight because he lost it so much. Chris said he felt so much anger that he didn't feel anything else when he strangled Shanann. White, mid-20s to mid-30s, bright. He may also have been abused as a child, physically, psychologically, or both. He's a loner. He's a loner. This doesn't mean he lives alone, however. He could be married because he's skilled at maintaining a public persona. A husband, a father, a killer, Chris Watts was a family man. Everybody, including his family, believed that. That was from the book, My Daddy is a Hero. He leads a double life. July 30th, 2018, Watts writes a love letter to his co-worker and mistress, Nicole Kessinger. Wow, where do I even start? The first day I saw you, you took my breath away. The first day I had the guts to talk to you, I got lost in those stunning green eyes. The first day we hung out in the park together, I knew I was addicted. What an asshole. The first time we kissed, I knew I had met the most amazing, unique, and electric woman ever. Yeah, she's real electric. Compared to Shanann, come on. We have a lot of firsts together, Nikki, and I want to keep having them with you. There's the one man the world sees, then this darker side. He's obsessive compulsive. Hell, he could have no criminal or psychiatric history at all. She worked out of her home, was there most of the time. Here's Shanann Rzucek Watts, very successful Thrive promoter who worked from her home. The more I tried to sort through it, the more tangled my thoughts became. What the hell was going on? I mean, that's what it feels like when you dive into this case. She wasn't wearing a wedding ring. When I got home, I opened the garage door. We went inside the home and looked everywhere. Shanann, Bella, and Celeste were nowhere to be found. Shanann's wedding ring was on her nightstand. Is it possible this was the second week of July, Friday the 12th? July 14th, 2018, Kessinger and Watts visited the Mustang Museum in Boulder together. Meanwhile, Shanann was calling him, and he didn't answer any of her calls. The unpaved road I turned onto next wasn't marked. This is Survey 319 at Survey Ranch. Really far out in the boondocks off a dirt road. Like the expensive objects surrounding her, she was beautifully crafted, one of the most elegant women I thought I had ever seen. I mean, I think right away about Shanann. Shanann Catherine Rzucek. Shine like Shanann. She was gorgeous. Just gorgeous. She is gorgeous. I got to know Frankie. What are the odds of this book saying that, right? This is Shanann and her brother Frankie Rzucek. Pictures he took inside the fridge. August 12, 2018, 1844 hours. A photo was created in the image file documenting the temperature setting in the refrigerator. It was my theory that his obsession with bodybuilding was inversely proportional to his obsession with his job. Chris was working out for sure. I had a theory. Who does that remind you of? It reminds me of Chris's dad, Ronnie Watts, who keeps stating that's all they have is a theory. Situations like this have a way of taking on a life of their own. We've all seen it, we've witnessed it. So many different theories about the case. The victimology, the motivation are sufficiently strange for me to believe anything's possible. Regarding the assertion that Shanann strangled her girls, Ronnie said, I'm thinking this might have been planned. I don't know. I don't own a gun or anything else dangerous. Coder states, oh, okay, fair enough. Any weapons in your house? Chris says no. Once you can envision yourself doing something, once you can relate to the mechanism behind the deed, the door is cracked. It can happen. The person who did this loved her. Love can be brutal. On August 13, 2018, Chris Watts strangled his pregnant wife Shanann to death, buried her in a shallow grave. He also smothered his two little daughters, Bella and Celeste, and stuffed them into crude oil tanks where he worked. He has a very low opinion of himself, unable to express feelings in a constructive manner. July 25th, Watts searched Google for when to say I love you. How does it feel when someone says they love you? Attraction turns to obsession. Love becomes pathological. Something else drives him. He no longer has control. Chris Watts stated, when I woke up that morning, it was going to happen, and I had no control over it. The awareness returns like waking up from a bad dream. You find yourself staring at the wreckage. The mother, who no longer has a face. Chris Watts stated, isn't it weird how I look back and what I remember so much is her face getting all black with streaks of mascara. Are you telling me Beryl's killer doesn't remember exactly what he did? The most skilled psychiatrist could question him for 1,000,000 years. There would never be an accurate replay. The truth will never be known. It has to be recreated and, to an extent, inferred. Chris Watts allegedly changed his story several times before being charged with murder of his wife and daughters. That was in People magazine. No, maybe that's what was closest to the surface, but the root was much deeper. Anger because nothing worked the way he wanted it to in the beginning. According to People, the source said, Watts was furious at having to enter the guilty plea. His story didn't work. He got angry. You have to appreciate how many times he had imagined the moment. The timing may have been impulsive, but his method had been planned with meticulous detail. I myself personally believe he did premeditate it since July 14th. Chris Watts originally stated he snapped and didn't know what he was doing, according to an article in the Tab. But now it looks as though he may have been thinking about committing the crimes for weeks beforehand. And this was in reference to the Netflix special. He realized the horrible thing he was doing, and his contempt for himself was acted out as contempt for her. Chris Watts, like I said, it's like something else was controlling me that day. I had no control over to fight back. Rage. Holy shit. I mean, that's how we all feel, right? You hear about this story. You think we're dealing with a psycho, don't you? According to Cindy Watts, Chris's mom, he's not a sociopath. He's not a psychopath. I knew he was not thinking about me, and yet I would not believe he was in love with someone else until he finally told me. Damn, he was such a liar, he denied everything. Shanann Watts strongly suspected he was having an affair in the weeks before she and her young daughters were killed. And she was right. That was according to Crime Online. And something else stands out. His neatness. He was obsessively neat. Nicole Kessinger said Chris is always cleaning his home and keeps it very clean. He was even cleaning the night that he murdered his family, if you remember correctly. Jim! Nicole Kessinger to Agent Kobach, leave Jim alone. They'll still lie to you, tuck the animal in bed, and spoon feed him chicken soup like he's Mr. Apple Pie America. Who's that remind you of? All these people on YouTube, the groupies who claim he's a victim. These people blame Shanann for her own murder, basically. And they also blame Shanann for murdering her daughters. People like Miss Mensa, Meredith's 2 Cents, Set the Record Straight, Mel and Kel, True Tam are all attempting to rewrite the script. It's really pathetic and appalling and insulting. They claim poor little Chris Watts is innocent. They're trying to get him a new trial. He already copped a plea. Hello. They attempt to smear the memory of Shanann Rzucek. But they will never succeed. You know why? Because they will never shine like Shanann. That's it for me, everybody. Thanks for listening. Bye. Love you.